Okay, so for this blog project, if you read the project overview, this is where I go over all the things that are you're required to have, all of the components, and then choose 2 extra components. And you can also, if you have find something else you want to, put in there, that's totally fine. If you discovered in your research some other components that are a part of blogs that you want to include in yours, that is fine. But one of them up here is Favicon. Do you know what Favicon is? Probably not, right? Okay, that's what we're going to go over right now. A Favicon is see up in the tabs up there, the tiny little icon up there that appears in the tab. It's very helpful for people to navigate towards the site once they have it open. And also, if somebody bookmarks the site, that goes into the bookmark. Also, sometimes depending on how your browser set up, but your first, like Chrome, the first page that opens up has icons of recently visited websites. Well, your Favicon will be pulled up for that too. So, and notice there's some over here that don't have any, it just has the generic globe one. So if you don't have a Favicon in your site, that's what you're gonna get. And it looks very unprofessional. So, so before we get into the technical part of how to create one, there are some design considerations that we must take into account. You want to be recognizable, right? Most likely you want to use the logo of the company you're designing for, or it's your logo, or something on topic with the content of the site. But you can't necessarily just take any logo and squeeze it down to 16 by 16 pixels and expect it to be recognizable. You need to really consider scale, especially if the logo has any text in it. Forget about it. It's not going to be readable. So you need to go in and figure out how to either pull out some component of the logo that's going to be really recognizable at such a small scale, or maybe you even need to modify it. And there's nothing wrong with modifying a logo so that it's viewable at a small scale. So let's say you have something with a bunch of vertical lines. That's part of the identity of the logo. Well, when you squish it down, they're going to be all squished together, and it's going to probably look like some solid mess. So you might want to actually take the logo into Illustrator, get rid of a couple lines, space them out a little bit more, and it really isn't going to make that much difference. If you do it right, it'll still look on brand and appropriate. And one example, this is kind of, the idea here is kind of like making logos responsive. So here's a site that shows some really interesting design decisions for making responsive logos. So as I squeeze this down, you see there are breakpoints where the logos change, and then change again like that. So it starts out with detail that is recognizable at this size here. And then as it gets smaller, something is, elements are taken away. I think this is a good example of what I was just talking about. Look at all the lines inside of New Balance. That's their regular logo, and that works in some situations. But once it gets smaller, those are going to start sort of melding together, in the eye. So they've actually taken the logo and removed removed some, made it more contrasty. And then once it gets down even smaller, just remove the text altogether. So the swoosh on Coca-Cola disappears. The Nike Air. And then this isn't even as small as a Favicon. The Nike one, when it gets even smaller, would just be the swoosh. It wouldn't even be the word Nike at all. So I wonder if this one goes right down to the alligator for Lacoste. Yep, just the alligator. Walt Disney actually loses the word Walt. Levi loses its registered logo up in the corner. And in fact, I think when it gets down to Favicon size, it loses the word Levi altogether, and it's just that branded red tab or tag that we all recognize. So taking the time to go into Illustrator or Photoshop and adjusting the logo is absolutely worth it, and makes it look really professional and not just some garbled dot up in the corner there. So there are many different sizes of Favicons that you can produce. I put an article in here. I'll put a link to those responsive logos too. Those are pretty cool. I think this article lists all the different kinds of sizes that you can include in your website. So 32 by 32, 16 by 16, it goes back and forth. But these are all the different sizes for different usages. So iPad, iPhone, Retina use different sizes. Chrome Web Store, all the way to Chrome for Android, home screen, laptop, iPad. So you can include all of those. You can include, you know, a handful of those. And the other thing you won't need to do is you need to make sure that it's a PNG, and you really want to, if possible, put it on a transparent background because it's going to be shown, if that's appropriate. If you have, it's going to be shown on gray most likely. So if you have a Favicon that's kind of gray, you might want to put a background in it. Otherwise, transparent is a good idea. Except maybe for the larger ones, you do want some sort of background color in case it becomes a icon on a smartphone. Then you want that square, that rounded off square, like that. Okay, so let me show you how to produce one of these and how to include it in your HTML page. I put a link to the easiest way is there are Favicon generators out there that'll package it up for you. Basically, you need to create the image. It has to be named something very specific so the browser knows to go and look for the icon of that specific name, and then include some code into your index page. Include some code into your HTML page. So let me go ahead and show you here. Also, I have up here an example, just an example of, you know, what happens if you don't take the text off. Watch as I get it smaller. That's even a little bit larger than what you see up in the window. And it's already just looks like a solid line at the bottom. So you would definitely want to go in and take care of that. The other problem with this is that it's not a square, which is a problem. This is Favicon.io is one generator. There are other ones you can use. I usually use this one, and I choose ping to ICO. Oh, let me make sure that the image I have is PNG. I just grabbed, oh no, that's a JPEG. Let me save this. I can't open Photoshop right now because my scratch discs are full. So annoying. I have too many Zoom videos on here. I got to go in and delete some of those. Okay. Save. I'm going to use it with a JPEG and see. I think it'll convert it for me. So I'm going to go in and drag this into here. Okay, so there, it's got it right there. And then there's instructions down here, the code that we need to paste into our HTML. But first, let me download the kit that it gives me. And then unzip it. And then in here, it has created various different ones. The basic one that you need to have at least, at the very least, is Favicon.ico. ICO standing for icon. It's just different. So that's the basic one you need. And then there are all those extra ones for different use cases. So I'm going to go ahead and I have this one like baby site that probably no one ever visits. So I'm going to go ahead and use that one. It's for the M Street Gallery downtown. Like no one uses it. So I have nothing in here, just the index page. So I'm going to go ahead and you want to grab all of these files and drag them into the main root directory. Don't put them in the images folder. The browser's not going to look for them there. Put them into the main root directory. Hope this works. I haven't done this in a while. Okay. There, we've got all of them in there. And now I'm going to go and open up this page in Atom. Let me close these. I'm going to connect to FTP. Okay, M Street Gallery. There's all my stuff. There's my index page. Okay, I'm going to go back here. And this is what I want to grab right here. Copy that. And you're going to paste it into the head of your document. So somewhere like here. Okay, save, and fingers crossed, we go back over to this beautiful site here, we reload, and yay, the Favicon showed up right up there in the tab. Magical, right? Isn't that fun? So definitely you want to do that for your blog template. You want to have that on every page. Yeah.
Do we have to pull all of the files?
Just put, you mean just put it on the index page, not on the other pages? Yeah. I think you need to have it on every page. Maybe not. Give it a shot. Try to put it on the index page. I think maybe there's a file in there called manifest, and that might automatically place it on every, I think I've seen that happen before where it shows up on the interior pages. Yeah, experiment with it. I'm not totally sure. Yeah. How to put it in the index page? Yeah. So I've got the index page open up here, and I copied and pasted it from the site where I downloaded the kit and converted it. So I grabbed all of this from, oh, there's a copy button. That's nice. I copied exactly that. I went over to the index page and I pasted it inside the head tag. So like underneath the link to your CSS file or something like that, anywhere in there is fine. So it'll know to grab those when in those different situations. Cool. All right, you can do this. And it looks so nice when you really taken the time to condense it down. Like I had one student, she made a really cool logo for her blog, and it had, I think, 5 different circles. They were all different colors, just slightly overlapping, and then text on top of it. And obviously that wasn't going to pare down very well. It not only was the text too long, but it was just too, you want it kind of as much as possible square footprint for that. And this one was just too horizontal. So she reduced it to either 3 or 4 circles and no text. And it looked just great. It totally was recognizable as the site that she designed. So that was a really good use of it. Any other questions on that? Okay. All right. Well, we've got next week to work on this, and I'm here to help. Okay. And if you want me to just test something, I'd be happy to just test something for you. Okay.